Liz Truss and Donald Trump team up against the EU, an SNP MP is suspended after kicking off in Parliament, and the Trade Secretary destroys the woke culture. Hello everyone and welcome to today's show. We have only a few days left at the end of the Brexit transition period. Both sides are still negotiating for some reason. The UK Parliament have decided to go home. Boris has sent all the MPs home for Christmas, which makes it slightly difficult to scrutinise a potential Brexit deal. We're going to talk about all that, but first let's talk about the best cabinet member that we have currently, Liz Truss, the Secretary of State for Trade, who's been signing trade deals left, right and centre on a daily basis. I think we've now reached about 58 trade deals with small countries, big countries, from your Canada to South Korea, Japan, and a lot of other smaller countries as well. Now we have Donald Trump and Liz Truss negotiating for a mini trade deal between the UK and the US for a number of reasons. One, Trump actually wants to make sure that he's still doing things. Imagine, let's just say hypothetically, if Joe Biden becomes president in January, he still wants to leave a legacy and he wants to help the UK against the EU because what this will do is it will make the UK's position much more powerful in these negotiations in the next week or so, which means Boris Johnson will find it very difficult to compromise considering he has all these other trade deals, especially with America. So this is actually good news. And interesting enough, we got this from actually America. They briefed the UK media, including the BBC, but they're not really talking about it, apart from CTAM. They're reporting that the UK and US have entered talks over a mini deal on tariffs. They've now entered these negotiations, and Robert Lighthizer, who's the US trade chief, has spoken to the BBC and talking about how both sides now want to bring down the tariffs, especially on Scottish whiskey, which Americans love. This is actually interesting. As I said, you would expect the BBC or Sky News to actually talk about this great news. But no, they're not really concerned about this at the moment. So let's actually report this here because they're talking about how Lighthizer has suggested that the UK would need to go further than last week's announcement because there's a lot of discussions about Airbus and a lot of the big corporations because they're lobbying big governments across the world that there has to be agreements on that as well. But Liz Truss has now been pushing with Donald Trump and his team in Washington to ensure that we have some sort of deal by the end of the year. And that's the biggest deadline because it's important for a number of reasons. One, it's the end of the year. You've got the Brexit transition finishing. Donald Trump, in case we have Joe Biden entering the White House in January, he has to formalize everything by the 1st of January to make sure that the Democrats, if they get into power, they don't actually stop anything. So if you got everything sorted, then Joe Biden can't really use his influence as the European Union's puppet to break the whole agreement. So this is actually good news. And what we have is that right now, because of the Christmas break, Boris Johnson has sent all the MPs home. I mean, Harry Cole is reporting this in The Sun. He's actually talking about how there are a number of speculations. One is that this is a very special time. You've got all these lockdown policies and tier systems. You've got the Brexit deal potentially coming up, or no deal Brexit. And sending MPs home is quite tricky because speculations are suggesting that that probably means the UK government are quite certain that there's going to be no deal anyway. But they have said that they will potentially bring MPs back on Monday or Tuesday, emergency sitting, to have a debate on any potential Brexit deal. So if by this weekend there's going to be some sort of agreement between the UK and the EU, they're going to bring them back to London, sit, debate and scrutinise a bill that's going to be about 600 pages. This treaty is going to be quite big, and they expect the MPs to read 600 pages in detail, scrutinise, debate, and then vote on it. I'm not really happy about this because there's not enough time to actually go through this. They want to basically rush it through. I mean, if it happens, because we still don't know exactly what the position is from the UK government and Boris Johnson or Lord Truss. But at the same time, if it does happen, we know that the Labour Party, despite the fact that they keep saying, oh, we will wait for the deal, we'll read it, and then we'll decide if we're going to be voting for it or not. We know that the Labour Party will vote for the deal, because the alternative is no deal, and the Labour Party don't want to be responsible for causing WTO Brexit. Downing Street have said that time is now in short supply to reach an agreement with the EU, and we expect the discussions will continue over the coming days. In the absence of further substantive business, we will, subject to approval by the House, go into recess. Again, I'm hoping that they're doing this because they know WTO Brexit is inevitable. Because if they reach an agreement, and if there's not enough time to actually properly go through the treaty, we might end up accidentally passing a sellout deal without even realizing it. So at this point, my position is now completely pro-WTO Brexit because I just don't trust the MPs to have enough time, or well, I was going to say something else, but I'm not, to actually be able to read through the whole thing and vote for it or not. So we'll wait and see. But at the same time, you've got the independents. Still, people like Adam Forrest, on a daily basis, keep ranting about fisheries. They're pretending that it's actually the fisheries that's the biggest obstacle. It's not. It goes back to a level playing field. It goes back to the priorities for Germany and Brussels overall. Because whilst fisheries as a concept is a big deal for people like Macron, the Dutch government, and a couple of others, the other EU countries don't really care that much. All they care about is standardization and making everything centralized, because they know that the UK has to be tied to EU rules and regulations. And they know that if they do that, the UK can't really be an independent country. Obviously, we know that Lord Truss has already confirmed that we're not going to compromise. Because if we do, all these trade deals with America, South Korea, and other countries, meaningless. We won't have any power to actually freely trade with other countries because we will be part of the European Union without being a member. So completely ignore all these articles about fisheries at this point, because that's not really a big point. Now, the SNP, we know that on this channel I reported that Nicola Sturgeon has already said she's going to block the Royal Navy from defending the UK waters up in Scotland because she doesn't really care about protecting the fishing industry in the UK. Her MPs in Parliament kicked off yesterday when MPs were debating the UK internal market bill. One of the SNP members, Drew Henry, stood up after the debate, said that we're not happy. He decided to interrupt the whole thing and pick up the mace.
And complete our scrutiny and consideration on this bill. I beg to move.
The question. The honourable gentleman must resume his seat. He must resume his seat. The honourable gentleman must resume his seat, and he knows that. This is just showing off. The honourable gentleman should resume his seat, otherwise I will order him to leave and name him. If he wants to be named, does he want to be named? Is that what's happening? If that is what is happening, then we can do it. I'd like to know the options of naming him. Okay, I'm naming the honourable gentleman. I know what he's doing. Oh, for goodness sake.
That is outrageous.
I beg to move that Mr. Hendry be...
I beg to move that Mr. Hendry be suspended from the service of the House.
It has been yes.
I don't even know what he was thinking. He just picked it up and tried to walk out. Obviously, you're going to get stopped. That's not the first time left-wing MPs have done this. We had Lord Russell Moyle, one of the Labour MPs, a year ago, doing the same thing. I think it was during the debates when Boris Johnson was planning to suspend Parliament. And so he's now being suspended for about, I think, 5 days. He's going to be losing £7,000 in his salary. And if there's going to be an emergency sitting in Parliament in the next few days, he's not going to be there to vote for or against the deal. So it's a win-win for Brexiteers. At least the SNP have lost one crazy MP who don't know what he was trying to do, but whatever. Now, going back to Liz Truss, who's been absolutely amazing when it comes to signing trade deals. She's also doing something else. In the Telegraph, we have this new report. Lucy Fisher is talking about how Liz Truss is starting this battle against the woke culture to bring down the political correctness of the left. This is really fascinating because I think Liz Truss is gaining a lot of attention now, good attention. And what if she becomes the next prime minister? Because she's not woke. Recently, because part of her portfolio is to be the equalities minister. That's what they gave her, as well as trade minister. And the Downing Street were trying to force through some woke policies, but Liz Truss has now come out to actually be against it. So she said, pivot from fashionable race and gender issues to focus on poverty. This is what she actually wants to do: tackle the real issues. People, the left behind, the silent majority, don't really care about your political correctness. And again, the government has focused too heavily on fashionable race, sexuality, and gender issues at the expense of poverty and various other issues. Liz Truss has now started this new campaign to go against the consensus. As we said, part of her portfolio is being the Women and Equalities Minister, which is something that is not really Liz Truss's thing. So I'm glad that they gave this job to someone like her who's not woke. Imagine if they've given that job to someone who is woke. They would have actually done a lot of things that's not really good for this country. So she's now started this move against the woke culture, and I'm really glad, and I support Liz Truss. And if she continues this way, you never know. She might have potential to become the next Conservative leader. So we'll keep you guys posted on this because I think she's going to be in the media quite a lot now, especially with her new alliance with Donald Trump and the US and her new campaign against the woke culture. So if you want to stay up to date, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell next to it so you get notified when we release a new video. Also, Christmas is coming. If you do believe in Britain, get your latest I Believe in Britain merchandise. Get the hoodies and coffee mugs and everything else. Check out the link in the description. And if you are a member of the channel, you do get a special discount as well. If you want to join as a member, again, the link is in the description. Just check it out. Thanks again for watching. I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.